I don't quite know how it's been 3.5 years since the PS5 came out. Obviously, we've had the PS5 Slim recently, but still, where's the time gone? Anyway, are we due a PS5 Pro? Well, all the rumors suggest yes, we're going to get one later this year. And given the big advances in CPU power, graphics, and AI tech, a PS5 Pro could have a ton of potential. So what can we expect? Is it even going to be worth getting a PS5 Pro before a PS6 in a couple of years? And what do we actually know so far? Well, the answer is not a lot, but I've been trolling the deep dark web, not that dark web, but to, bring together all the rumors of what we think we know so far, and obviously nothing is confirmed, Sony hasn't said anything yet, but let's start with the why. Why do we need a PS5 Pro? Well, the answer is, as good as the original and this new kind of slimmed down version are, and they have sold over 50 million of them combined, there's always room for improvement, and we did get a PS4 Pro. For starters, since moving away from cross-gen PS4 to PS5 tech, some more visually demanding games, like Star Wars Jedi Survivor, are starting to struggle to maintain a solid 60 at 1440p, even in performance modes. And I think we'd all like to see more AAA 4K 60 games, and also more titles using hybrid modes, like Spider-Man 2's Fidelity Smooth with VRR, which actually runs at 40 FPS on 120Hz TVs, and it looks amazing. And this is where AI upscaling and frame generation tech, like your NVIDIA DLSS or AMD's FSR, would be a really smart way to boost frame rates and image quality without just cranking up the raw performance. Oh, and also a quick resume feature like we get on the Xbox would be very nice for the PlayStation. I don't love the fact it basically does a cold restart of each game every time you switch between them. A refreshed design would be good to see as well. I definitely appreciate the smaller form factor of this PS5 Slim, and if I had to guess, I reckon the Pro would be a little bit smaller than the original. I mean, it couldn't be any bigger, could it? Although when I asked ChatGPT-4 what a PS5 Pro might look like, it had other ideas. I mean, I can't see how any of these would fail, and I'm loving the extra details. Very nice. But apparently codenamed Project Trinity, which is a great name and also a Matrix reference like previous PlayStation consoles have also had, but apparently some developer kits were actually sent out late last year, and so the alleged specs, the rumored specs, suggest up to double the processor performance. Not too shabby. And that timing would line up with an expected Q4 2024 release, considering we had a PS4 Pro 3 years after the PS4, and given the PS5 was a much more capable console at launch, I think a 4-year wait for the Pro sounds about right. So this November, perhaps? Again, nothing confirmed, and actually I would suggest checking out Red Gaming Tech's channel for a super deep dive, but in terms of the performance, what's almost certain is the move to AMD's RDNA 3, or 3.5, graphics architecture, which is around 50% faster per watt, and includes extras like dual-issue shaders that can compute twice as much per cycle, which is apparently a big deal. Although given it's highly customized, it actually might end up being a bit of a hybrid with RDNA 2 for compatibility. But it means a ton more graphical punch, meaning devs have the option to push for higher resolutions and higher, more consistent frame rates, especially at 4K. There's even talk of an 8K performance mode, although given how few people actually own an 8K TV and we've all sort of moved on a little bit, I'm not sure how important that would be, although it does still make me laugh that the PS5 box, the original box, has that 8K logo on it, and after 3.5 years, even though it does technically support it, we've not seen any 8K content or games. It's kind of ludicrous, really, so I'll believe it when I see it. But there is also talk of accelerated ray tracing, something that base PS5s can manage at 30 FPS, but more likely to be added to a new 60 FPS RT performance mode. Now, of course, any PS5 Pro isn't going to compete with a super high-end desktop PC, and Digital Foundry reckon that a 4080, an NVIDIA RTX 4080, is roughly 3 times more powerful than what we get in the current PS5, but obviously consoles are much more constrained by price and physical size. But given how much more capable RDNA 3 is, we could see the PS5 Pro close that gap a little bit. Now, early rumors had the CPU based on AMD's Zen 4 architecture, but now I'm seeing reports it's actually still going to be based on the original 8-core Zen 2, but instead using a smaller, much more power-efficient 5 or 4 nanometer process and a faster 4.2 or 4.3 GHz clock speed up from the current 3.5. Beyond that, things get very speculative, except to say we'll probably get slightly faster RAM and also upgraded Tempest 3D audio. Other reports suggest that we will also get some sort of dedicated NPU or neural processing unit, because some form of FSR, like FSR3, could significantly boost frame rate, and while it would require devs to implement it, it's a pretty simple way to improve the overall experience before you factor in all the extra power. That said, I have also seen reports that suggest this FSR-style AI upscaling could just be handled by the new RDNA 3 architecture, which presently you can't really get on RDNA 2, or at least nowhere near as efficiently. We might also see a DualSense 2, or at least that's what a hastily removed Best Buy Canada listing suggested. The V2 looks identical to the original, but with double the battery life, up to 12 hours, and an included charging station. And last of all, given how much money Sony's poured into making the external 4K Blu-ray player for the PS5 Slim, I reckon we'll also see it make an appearance on the Pro as well. Big question though, how much? Well, currently you can get PS5 for $499 or £479, so I think a £100 or dollar price premium for the Pro, try saying that 3 times fast, would make sense, so we'd be looking at £579 or $599. And maybe if we then see the PS5 discounted by another 50 quid or so when it launches, I think that would seem reasonable. And of course developers would still be optimizing all their games for the regular PS5, so it would only be for Pro users with high-end TVs who really do care about the best performance possible and have that little bit extra budget, in the same way that you could buy a high-spec laptop or PC. As for the Xbox and Team Green, well, Microsoft doesn't really have much to say at the moment. The big news recently was the fact that some of their games are going multi-platform, which are rumored to include Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves. And not Starfield or Indiana Jones. But to be honest, that whole Microsoft podcast news event could have just been an email. And there's been no official mention of new Xbox hardware. The only thing we have to go on is this pretty official looking leak of a new cylindrical slimmed down Series X, but nothing confirmed yet. Sony has also said that the PS5 is entering the latter stage of its life cycle. And after years of massive sales, recently the PS5 has been failing to meet expectations. To be fair, they have sold over 55 million of them since it launched back in November 2020 at the height of the pandemic, and no doubt there will be a PS6 in a couple of years, especially as Hideo Kojima's teased his new action espionage game, which is definitely not Metal Gear Solid, but called Fizzint. So from everything I've seen, the PS5 Pro is stacking up to be a pretty impressive machine, and I can't wait to get my hands on one, even though it's not actually been confirmed to exist yet. But with a PlayStation 6 expected in 2026, do we really need a Pro? And what would convince you to actually buy one? Let me know in the comments below. But for all the latest news and reviews, hit that subscribe button down below. Let me know what you're playing at the moment. I'm about to jump into some Final Fantasy Rebirth, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.